I wanted to talk about the scientific basis of time because it irks me, it vexes me, and I mean to have him even if it's burglary. But here I am, a genius comedian consigned to the status of a bum. Because I don't get to talk about what I want. Time? What's that? We're not going to find out in this one, are we? Because I have to talk about the state of the world right now. Like a fucking wanker. You know, not all comedians talk about the news. Some of them get by making funny noises into a microphone, or sitting down in a chair in an amusing way, or going to a despotic Gulf state and pointedly not telling the very jokes that need telling there. I wanted to carve a niche for myself in the realm of the mildly interesting, not necessarily having to do with the subject of the day. Talk about time, talk about space, talk about the culture of the human race, talk about mime. Talk about pace, talk about the history of the band Black Lace. I should change the start of this series, make it all dramatic, cinematic. This is a broadcast from the Resistance. Stand by for transmission. One small problem, I'm not a Resistance, I'm just some geezer who wants a quiet life to enjoy the company of his kitty cats, do copious amounts of drugs, and who desires a complete dissolution of the state. But Resistance is pointing things out in a mocking way that makes the powerful look like morally vacant, ignorant fools. Resistance is urging people to shoot police in their silly cop faces. Resistance, because if that's the case, then I suspect they haven't met a real resistance. Real resistance have bombs, don't they? If I put my hand to bomb making, I suspect I wouldn't have a hand for very long, or much else in the way of body parts. Risk losing my wanking appendage while not even scratching the paintwork of the edifice of our glorious government. And it would be infrastructure I'd target, because bombs don't discriminate, thus I find it unacceptable to use them against people. Of course, my definition of people is as elastic as the strap on a cheap pair of swimming goggles, so that last statement doesn't really mean anything. And if you know who Black Lace are, then I do apologise for reminding you of their existence. Yeah, they're still going. Why? Fuck people. Time. That's what I'm concerned about. Is it emergent? Is it fundamental to change state somehow? How fortunate it is, though, that I still have time to think about time, whereas increasingly people aren't having the luxury to think at all beyond bare survival. And then there are those who have had their ability to think ended completely, either with a bullet to the brain or a scholarship to Basingstoke's Holy Ghost School, which is a real thing, although it's called Queen Mary's School for Boys these days. I bet it bloody is. British royalty and small children, that's a combo straight from fucking hell. Instead of making a comedic video about what might well be the mildly interesting history of a school established during Tudor times, I'm instead forced to contemplate Andrew Mountchild Windsor. As for the subject of time, that's completely forfeit now at this point, because I have to talk about some other bastards now. Taylor Swift, desktop icon who doesn't appear overtly malicious. That's a statement which will placate her fans while carrying forward my inference for her haters. But she's a billionaire, ain't she? I can't help but say it like Del Boy. I'm not doing an impression, I'm having a stroke. The premise then, all billionaires are evil, even Taylor Swift, especially Taylor Swift. Other billionaires don't cruelly inflict their musical efforts on the world, do they? No, they just murder people. It's a much more merciful fate for all involved. Listen to me. I sound like Bill Blood Money Burr going on about billionaires, but unlike silly Billy Burr, I'd like to think I wouldn't sell my principles for a half-melted ice cream proffered by a murderous dictator I'd personally like to slit from ball sack to chin. Fair dues to Bill Burr, though. There's no denying he's a total clown. Jack Whitehall is sitting there rubbing his little hands with glee because I didn't mention that he went to Riyadh too for his portion of lovely, lovely blood money. He does seem like the sort who would accept chocolate coins wrapped in gold foil, though. I can eat my lovely, lovely blood money. He's not a billionaire, though. He just accepted money from one. The only acceptable way to obtain money from a billionaire is by using a stethoscope, or hitting an enter key on a computer keyboard, or gently nodding the barrel of a gun inches from their face. Either that or crushing financial penalisation through draconian wealth taxes and a swift wealth redistribution under the current financial system before that system, capitalism, is taken apart and shit upon from a great height and permanently erased from history. No fucking money. Money can be wielded as an authority and so it has to go. But I'm getting sidetracked again. First it was Jack Whitehall in his blood-covered hands and chocolatey mouth, and now it's financial advice. Here's some financial advice. All billionaires are evil. Oh yeah? What if someone got their billions by winning the lotto then, Mr. Air quotes comedian, so-called? Listen here, you little shit. Time might be emergent, but there is a speed of process that can be slowed or sped, relatively speaking. But surely that yet points to time being emergent, but possessing no universal tick of the second hand. If time is emergent, then it can only propagate at the speed of light. But I can't ruminate on these frivolities for this one because I have to mourn 180 or so Iranian girls who were targeted and murdered by the USA at their school. The USA is bent on genocide against the Cuban people. The USA is building concentration camps. The USA is like being that pupil in the headmaster's office, isn't it? Fucking hell, USA. Whenever the bodies hit the fan, it's always you and that fucking Israel, innit? The USA needs to chill the fuck out. And by chill, I mean in the same way a fresh corpse might chill. In a freezer, hanging from a meat hook. Time isn't a force, it isn't a field, there is no tachyon. What would a tachyon move through if a tachyon itself is the participle of the tick? But there's no time to think about that in this episode. No, I have to focus on the fact that elections I don't give two shits about are going to be drastically suppressed this summer here in Yankee Doodle Dandyland, where the slobbering and randy elites like the hard candy. I would care about voting if I thought it did anything meaningful, which it doesn't. Anyway, I've hardly ever encountered a candidate I would vote for. Jeremy Corbyn was the first and last one thus far. I have no earthly idea how an apparent human being like Corbyn ended up in politics. I can only assume some kind of mistake was made during his interview with the careers advisor. What about Zach Polanski, leader of the Green Party in Britain? Yeah, he's saying the right things, but let's not get too fucking excited about Mr. Hypnotherapy there, with his mesmerising spiral eyes, or X-ray specs. I can't tell the difference. The artists at Green Party Opposition HQ, which is like the rest of the British establishment, aren't very good at doing arts and crafts. After doing a bang-up job banging up the country, who could have known? He seems on the up and up, doesn't he? But my judgment is reserved until I've seen the entirety of his life and political career play out. A liberal, politically speaking, can encompass anything from hard-right neoliberalism to democratic socialism, which is a politic seemingly devoid of the guillotine for gazillionaires aesthetic that gives our little black anarchist hearts so much comfort. But in the confines of liberalism, party politics, indeed, voting itself is still a competitive sport, and you'll excuse me if I don't believe for one fucking single solitary second that competition yields anything of value. Competition, as we all know, produces only heartache and devastation, unless of course we're talking about it's a knockout, in which case all bets are off. I mean, I wouldn't presume to instruct you to do anything, but when it comes to voting, you might as well go and protest for all the fucking good it will do. Time to wind it up, I suppose. Wind my neck in, as they say in Blighty. I'm an anarchist, or rather, anarchism best fits my world view. I don't view it as politics because it would put a flame to such nonsense. Ultimately, our ways aren't coercive, even though we do use directed violence against the enemy. But our supposed failure comes about not because we do not wish to force people to our view, but because there are not enough people who believe what we believe, or worse, do believe it, but wish to cling to some semblance of normalcy, just trying to ride it out until death, because a paradigm shift in the whole of human existence is a bit too much. You know what I find a bit too much? Bad pacing. This could have been a great episode, full of philosophical interrogation and exploration of the cosmos. The comfortable reversibility of cause and effect seemingly points to no temporal archer, yet the observable reality of the macro says otherwise, and the arrow flies true. Sadly, for this episode, the arrow not only failed to hit the bully, but missed the target entirely and made yet another little hole in the surrounding plaster. Yep, my one and only chance to give serious consideration to time, and I got cock-blocked because of world events, most of which I didn't even mention. Oh well. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and remember, lovely, lovely blood money. Good night.